Fan coil units are like the unsung heroes of the HVAC world. They're those boxy things you see on walls or ceilings, quietly keeping rooms comfortable. In simple terms, a fan coil unit is like a mini air conditioner for a specific zone or room. It doesn't make its own hot or cold air though. Instead, it relies on hot or cold water from a central source, kind of like a radiator but with a fan for better air circulation. These units are super versatile and can be found in homes, offices, hotels, you name it. They offer localized temperature control, so you can adjust the temperature in each room without affecting the whole building. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty of how these things actually work. To understand how a fan coil unit works, you gotta know what's inside. Think of it like a simple recipe. You've got your main ingredients. First, the heat exchanger. This is the heart of the unit, where the magic happens. It's basically a coil of copper tubing with fins attached to it. Hot or cold water flows through these tubes, and the fins help transfer the heat to or from the air. Next, the fan. This is the muscle, the part that gets the air moving. It sits behind the heat exchanger and blows air across the fins, either pulling air in or pushing it out depending on the setup. Then, the filter. Nobody wants dusty air, right? The filter traps dust, dirt, and other airborne particles, keeping the air clean and your lungs happy. Finally, the control system. This is the brain of the operation. It's usually a thermostat or a wall-mounted control panel that lets you adjust the temperature and fan speed. These four components work together like a well-oiled machine to keep your room comfy. Now let's talk about how these components work together. Imagine it like this. When you crank up the thermostat, the control system tells a valve to open, allowing hot water to flow through the heat exchanger. The fan kicks on, pulling room air through the filter and blowing it across the hot fins. The air heats up and gets blown back into the room, making it nice and toasty. For cooling, it's the same idea, but with cold water instead of hot. The cold water chills the fins, and the fan blows the warm room air over them. The air loses its heat to the fins, cools down, and gets blown back into the room, creating that refreshing coolness. It's that simple. Hot water for heat, cold water for cool. Section 4. Types and applications of fan coil units. Fan coil units come in different flavors, each with its own strengths. One type is the two-pipe system. This is like having one hose for both hot and cold water. You can either heat or cool your room, but not both at the same time. It's like flipping a switch from hot to cold. Then there's the four-pipe system. This one's like having two separate hoses, one for hot and one for cold. You can have both heating and cooling available simultaneously, giving you ultimate climate control. Now where do you find these fan coil units? Everywhere. They're in homes, apartments, hotels, offices, schools, hospitals, you name it. They're great for places that need individual room temperature control, or where running ductwork isn't practical. Section 5. Advantages and disadvantages. Like everything in life, fan coil units have their pros and cons. On the plus side, they're energy efficient, especially if you only need to heat or cool certain rooms. They provide individual room control, so no more fighting over the thermostat, plus they're relatively quiet compared to some other HVAC systems. However, they do require regular maintenance, like cleaning or replacing filters, and if you're installing them in a new building, the initial cost can be higher compared to a traditional system. Section 6. Conclusion. So, there you have it. Fan coil units in a nutshell. They're like the silent workhorses of the HVAC world, quietly keeping us comfortable without much fuss. They may seem a bit mysterious at first, but once you understand the basic components and how they work together, it's pretty straightforward. Whether you're a homeowner trying to understand your own system or just curious about how things work, hopefully, this explanation has shed some light on these unsung heroes of climate control.